And today we are at WasteExpo 2025, and this is actually year 2. Last year, my friend Dave DeVito here. Dave, tell people about yourself. Like, you know I'm going to screw up the name of your company because there's just so many that sound just like you.
So Dave DeVito here from Resource Waste. We come out of the New England area, primarily sectored into the Boston market. And our primary focus is recycling, construction, and demolition waste. I've had the pleasure of not only working with Ryan over the years, but him and I have formed a great relationship and had a lot of great fun educating people about the risks with batteries in our waste industry that we all have to deal with.
So you're saying that batteries are risky. So risky of fire, how do you mitigate your risk? And again, from an operational perspective, education perspective, that type of thing.
So, you have to start with educating your customers. You have to work with end markets to, try to communicate what's the best way to keep it out of the waste stream. We have a lot of people that work on the ground that as loads are being dumped out. We're always watching what's coming into the facilities so we can identify up front and get them out of the waste streams as quickly and efficiently as we possibly can.
100%. And so again, you've been in the industry now, longer than I'm gonna share. Right? Even though Dave just hit 32 and I'm 31, but so basically, were batteries always a problem, right? I mean, you've been doing this so long.
They've always been a problem, but the thing in today's world, everything has a battery, right down from an e-cigarette. All the way up to, you look at the contractors and they don't really think about this. And a problem that they cause is there's so many cordless tools out there today in this world. What do? Their batteries go bad on a job. They just toss them in the dumpster.
100%.
Right? So what does that do? That gets in the dumpster. It gets dumped on the ground. They can crack open, create heat, combustion, turns into a fire. But luckily, with the technology from this genius here from FireOver, we were very fortunate to have the technology that they've created that can help mitigate the risk of losing an operation in a facility and keeping people safe.
100%. I mean, it's funny. So our FireOver's in your Avon.
Wear mask.
Did I just say Avon? What is
it's okay.
It was wear mask. So you have a FireOver in where, so basically it went off the second day it was in?
That is correct.
And you called me and you're like, did you start a fire in my facility? The first thing you said. So, and believe me, we're laughing, but at the same time, this is very serious topic. And
saved our operation.
Well, and so you mentioned a great point, right? I mean, you have all of these contractors out there and they have these powerful batteries. They're throwing them into the waste stream. You're getting them in your C&D.
Yep.
And how do you educate? Everyone is focused on educating the public.
Right.
How do you educate the businesses?
It's very challenging. We're trying to do everything we can to get this out in front of the public just to help them understand what we're going through. They see that there's fires at waste and recycling operations. They need to understand why the fire is. Everybody says it's dangerous chemicals. There was no fires like this, for many years prior to all these batteries and everything that we basically have today. And we didn't have a lot of chemical fires back in the day. It's since all these NiCad batteries come out.
Right. So, I mean, and we would say, $2.5 billion worth of damage last year. Half of them were batteries, half of them were responsible for others. So what other hazards are people throwing accidentally into? And again, when I say people, I mean businesses, and they're throwing them into the large loaders, and this is or your roll-offs, and that's really what's causing a lot of this drama.
It is, and I haven't really seen a lot of other things in our own business.
Really? No accelerants and
no,
you don't get a lot of that in your.
No, we've been very fortunate that way.
Yeah.
But it can happen, and I know others that it's happened to. But I think where we're fully focused on C&D, we may not get some of the household chemicals that maybe other facilities in the MSW space may receive. So
100%.
That could be part of it.
Yeah, no, and it is. I mean, and there are different chains, and a lot of it makes sense. I mean, you guys are more like a metal facility, a metal operator, right?
More construction demolition. So anything that's literally in a building is stuff that we're processing and handling. So it's all building debris and
Well,
building materials.
And that is when I always say to anyone who asks, real recycling is not done at the curbside. Real recycling is actually done by the metal recyclers and by the construction and demolition recyclers. And really, that's where, if you think real recycling is not putting a pound of some material that you get into a landfill or reusing it, you guys are really the engine that's driving a lot of that recycling. So do you feel that that's known? I mean, do you feel like that's kind of getting missed to the public?
I feel it does get missed a little bit. I don't think a lot of people are really educated out there that really realize what happens with all the construction and demolition material, which is a little bit sad from my perspective. I've been processing C&D now for 30 years, even though Ryan did say I was 32.
100%. I mean, you were 2 years old when you started your business, fact check me.
So yeah, it's definitely difficult. I sit on a board of the Construction Demolition Recycling Association and work with them nationally. And I find that in all regions, a lot of people really don't know and understand what goes on with these materials.
Well, and that's where I know Terry's working on trying to, drive education from a CDRA perspective, and it's a real big problem, and it's not funded. And I say this, like, it's not funded the way the curbside is, right? Because curbside, you really have so many agencies, municipalities, and others. And I don't want to say that construction and demolition becomes the stepchild, but it seems to the metal recyclers and the waste and recycling. Like, do you think that's changing a little bit, right? Because I do think we're seeing more C&D operators open.
There are more C&D operators than there ever has been. Think about it, I've been in the space for a long time, so I've watched the industry evolve. And I think there's a lot of new opportunities to create new end products, to help continue to grow the C&D space. So I think it's a great business, and I think there's a lot of good things that we can all be doing together to help define that. And again, keep working with the health and safety side of it by protecting ourselves with fire over.
100%. I mean, do you believe in EPR? What's your stance? Like, I don't mean to this I'm not trying to question. If you don't want to answer that, you don't have to. But what's your belief is the best way to either get batteries out of the waste stream? I mean, is it a deposit scheme? What are you thinking?
You know what? I think they should try to maybe consider looking at a deposit scheme. I think that would help. I think that would drive it. It's funny, even through some of my son's friends, that their fathers now call me and say, hey, I remember you talking about that there's problems with batteries. Hey, geez, I was getting ready to throw this in the trash. What do I actually do with this? And, and try to help educate them, what to do. And, when it's funny because you now see them starting to communicate and, hey, geez, you know what? I was talking to those guys and they said, do everything you can to keep it out of the waste stream because they see people have fires.
Well, and that's where, you bring up the construction and demolition guys that are using all these tools, or, the guys who are doing a lot of the building, and maybe if there was a deposit, would they care a little bit more to not take that power tool,
would think so.
Take the battery in, and because those, we do see a lot of those at our customers, and they are big and powerful, and they shoot a lot of shrapnel and others. So you can bring those to Lowe's, Home Depot, and Staples as well. And I know Call to Recycle has a lot of locations, but again, I'm asking everybody, I know it's more of a curbside thing, vapes, right? Like, vapes are a biohazard and a hazard material.
Yeah.
What do you think we can do? Who do you think we need to get in line to get more drop-off locations that are safe? Is there...
You would almost think that the vape companies now, because there's been so many issues, would consider trying to come up with something at some of these stores or something, so that when you're buying another one, you can return the one that you had previously and get maybe a small credit off your next purchase.
Yeah.
Something, right? Anything to help.
And this is where, honestly, all of us look at each other, we're like, we got to find someone to help this.
Yeah.
Your best story of the waste industry, the C&D industry.
In regards to what?
I don't know. This is it. You have one story, your funniest story.
There's so many, I don't even know where to start.
What's the biggest mistake that you've made in the last 30 years in your business?
The biggest mistake. That's another interesting one.
I mean, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and I can tell you, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah, we all, believe me, we all make mistakes. I think the biggest mistake is, not communicating with your teams to help them grow and educate not only them, but others outside of what they do.
Yeah.
I think is probably one of the biggest things. It's all about education and communication today to help people grow and understand recycling and the waste industry.
Well, so and I know that you are. I mean, you do this because you love it, right? And you were born into it, and but to the next person who's thinking about 18 years old, 19 years old, they're getting out of school, they're trying to decide what to do. Would you bring them into this industry? I mean,
I would, because think about it. It's a massive industry,
and it's only getting bigger.
It's only going to get bigger. It only gets stronger, and there's a lot of opportunity. Think about how many billions of dollars have managed through waste.
100%.
I mean, we're here at an investor conference. There's hundreds of bankers trying to get, and venture capitalists trying to get into this space. It's not because it's not a bad industry. It's because there's a lot of opportunity in waste and recycling.
100%. I mean, we've been so blessed that we've been able to cut our teeth and really prove our system and not in a laboratory.
Right.
And the hardest part is that, like, if you want fire innovation, you really have to prove it in a laboratory, right? Here, like, it's happening every day, and I know that they are doing everything they can to get the next generation to really understand real recycling and what we can do to really solve the problem. So Dave, any last words you have for these young minds at home?
Think waste and recycling. It's a great industry. It's a great opportunity, and there's always room for growth.
And we can mitigate the risk of fires, right? So we'll make it
100%.
safe. Safety is the key.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dave. You're the best.
Thank you.